Hi, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to our course. This is our second instructional video for the week as you orient yourselves to the Business Leadership e-learning course. By now, you should have listened to the 20-minute introductory instructional video from yesterday's class. If you haven't listened to that, you need to listen to that first because there's so much information that I covered in that yesterday, which is going to be paramount to your success in this class. Okay, so I'm not going to replicate any of what I mentioned in the instructional video yesterday because that was a longer lesson. Most of the time, these instructional videos will be anywhere between 3 minutes to 10 minutes, and that's going to be your full lesson for the entire week. This week, I'm doing two because obviously we're new to the class and understanding and managing expectations of the course. It takes some time as you orient yourself to the course, okay? So yesterday you would have seen this post here and you would have gone through, read this little note from me. You would have opened up the weekly agenda and you would have listened to this instructional video. Again, this video was 20 minutes in duration. I don't normally do videos that long, but it is your responsibility to listen to the entire thing as though you are sitting in a classroom. Because remember, we're not in a classroom space together. That's one of the advantages of being an e-learning student. But these videos give you everything you need to be successful. And if you don't listen to them, it always shows. And there is a way for me to track students that are listening and who are not, okay? So with that being said, this is our second video for today. Today, I'm just going to spend some time navigating the course here just so you can see where everything is. And we're going to go through the weekly agenda with a little bit more detail so that you know exactly what to do this week to be successful. Okay, so first things first, this is our course as you can see. The activity feed here is going to be sort of your best friend, your journal, your agenda, your quote unquote Bible of choice for the course because it's going to house all of the updates and information that you need every week for what you need to be successful. As I mentioned in the instructional video yesterday, every Sunday at 8 p.m., there will be a post just like this. You're going to have a little paragraph explanation as to what's happening. I'm going to post the weekly agenda, and there's going to be an instructional video. The instructional video is mandatory. You do need to listen to it because it gives you all the instructions you need for the tasks assigned that week. Okay. If you don't listen to it, honestly, it really does show. Okay, so this is really important that you tune in. Most students really enjoy that I post this on a Sunday night. It gives them a chance just to see what is upfronting their week so that they can manage their timelines and just have an idea of when they're going to do the work for this course this week. And honestly, I do really recommend that you do that. Okay, for this course, there's a content section. Most of the content for this course you can find under content, but honestly, the activity feed and the weekly breakdowns, the weekly agendas are the best sources of information. In the content section, I will be posting the weekly agendas, so you can always go back to those weekly agendas anytime if you need to go back to look for something. The course information contains the course outline, as well as the e-learning course breakdown day by day, but this is updated throughout the semester because every semester changes. And then obviously course procedures and whatnot, okay? There is also an e-learning orientation student package. So if you've never taken an e-learning course before, this is your very first one, or you've never done a course in Brightspace before, I highly recommend that you go through this. In this course, we use Chicago style citations. We will do an activity soon where you have to go through this, but just want you for reference to see that all of the information, extra information and packages here for you as to how to do Chicago style is here for you in this folder, including a detailed instructional video that I find really, really quite useful. It's one that I put together for you. You'll have to actually watch it coming up soon, but just so you know, that's where it's housed. And then of course, all of the stuff for our units as well. Again, I actually don't recommend that you use and rely on content. I'm not the best with content in terms of updating things. I'm constantly updating my courses, and I do tend to get to content last because there's just too many other things happening. The best thing that you can do is just follow the activity feed, the weekly breakdowns, make sure that you are taking thorough course notes, that you have all of those slide decks available to you and accessible to you when it comes to performance tasks, projects, as well as obviously unit tests, okay? Your assessments are going to be housed in two locations. We've got Dropbox. This will be, my Dropbox is going to look a lot different than yours. But it's all here for you. Okay, so any submission that you have is going to be for an assignment will be done through Dropbox. And then also our discussion posts. As I mentioned in our instructional video yesterday, our discussion posts are inquiry-based learning. It's scaffolded learning. Students that don't participate in discussion posts are, number one, not benefiting from learning from one another, but they're also not getting those opportunities to really take what we're learning and then deconstruct it so that they can understand it. And that definitely shows in unit tests. Also, I do tend to pull questions from discussion posts to unit tests. So again, the more you do, the better you succeed. Additionally, your discussion posts are worth grades. About 8% of your overall mark goes to the discussion posts. And you do your very first discussion post this week, okay? And that's basically it. There is a button here for course schedule. This is actually, I haven't updated this, so it's going to open up to a document that was from last semester. I'll be changing this. But just as the semester unfolds, I do try to update this. However, again, it's not always updated. The best thing that you can do is be an advocate for yourself and just stay on top of the course on a weekly, obviously week by week basis. Okay, and that's that. Okay, so going back to our week this week, yesterday, as you know, you listened to that instructional video and you went through the weekly breakdown. And that was really all that was assigned to you yesterday. You had to do that. And then you also completed your first participation, or what we call attendance activity. And as I mentioned in the instructional video yesterday, for the first 2 weeks of this course, you are assigned one attendance participation activity every day. And in order to be marked as in attendance for that day, you have to complete the participation activity for that day on the day in which it is scheduled. If you do yesterday's participation activity today, you're going to be marked absent for yesterday. Okay? So I went through yesterday's tasks for you yesterday in the instructional video from yesterday. Like I said, you had to listen to this instructional video, which was linked in here, and you had to complete the participation activity from yesterday here. So we're technically on Tuesday. If you're staying on top of the course, this is Tuesday's instructional video. So for today, you're listening to this instructional video. Here we are. And again, you're just completing this attached participation activity. So the first 2 days of this course, super gentle. You're just basically listening to me instruct you as to how to be successful in this course. And you're doing your attendance participation activities, again, on the day in which it is assigned. Okay. On Wednesday of this week, so for tomorrow, you are assigned an article to read. So these are tips for success for students, e-learning students by e-learning students. So you have to go through the article and answer the questions. Or sorry, you have to go through the article and read the article. And then you have to answer the questions in the participation activity assigned tomorrow. And then you have your very first assignment of the course, which is your very first discussion post. Okay. Now, as I mentioned in our instructional video yesterday, anything assigned to you for the week is due the following Monday at 8 a.m., as you can see. The reason I do this is because one of the benefits of being an e-learning student is that you do get some flexibility, okay? So as I said, every Sunday at 8 p.m., I post the weekly breakdown so you know exactly what you've got to do for the week ahead, and you have all week to complete that work. Everything is due the following week on the Monday at 8 a.m., okay? If it is not handed in by Monday at 8 a.m., it is late, okay? And that is not good. Okay. Students that hand in work late, that work is not assessed. Okay. So, and that is how I treat it. It's a grade 12 academic course. I will not look at it. I will not mark it. And the only way that I would is if you take that initiative and you have that conversation with me. This is not a do whatever you want, whenever you want kind of course. You do have to abide by the deadlines. The reason for that is, number one, you're in a grade 12 academic course. Number two, while it is e-learning, it is still an academic course. And number three, if you don't abide by the deadlines, you will fall behind. I had a student this semester who, great student, but fell behind for 2 weeks and just absolutely suffered in the end, okay? Because again, it's an academic course. The deadlines are not there to punish you. The deadlines are there to support you, okay? If there are extenuating circumstances and for whatever reason you cannot meet the Monday deadline, I would assume the extenuating circumstances are not, oh, I just prioritized my other courses and thought I had more time to do this and was going to do it all on Sunday night, but realized that the project actually takes 8 hours and I couldn't do it. Okay, that's not a good excuse, right? But it can happen because we're students and we learn, right? We make mistakes. If there is an extenuating circumstance or if you made a mistake, again, I would ask that you contact me over email and we can set up a Google Meet and we can talk about, well, what do we do next, as opposed to it just being a zero. However, if this becomes problematic throughout the course, we have to take that to another level, right? So again, the best thing that you can do is just stay on top of your work and start strong. There's so little to do this week in this class. You literally have one little discussion post assignment and the participation activities each day. So you spend 2 hours on this course this week as it compares to your other courses. Of course, as the weeks progress, you're going to have more and more. Again, e-learning number one is time management and organization. Okay, so going back to our Wednesday assignment, and the only assignment you have for this week is the discussion post. So if you go into classroom discussions, again, communication discussions, your first discussion post has been assigned to you at the top. Your discussion post can be completed either through creating a video for your discussion post or by creating something written. It's completely up to you. I recommend trying both throughout the semester. Most students do prefer to just write their responses, but you're more than welcome to do a video if oral assessment is better for you or it's just easier. Okay? Okay, so you have to create a written response. Within the written response, you have to ask one question of your peers. So how you get your marks for discussion posts involve the quality of the answers that you provide to the questions I assign you, as well as connecting it to course concepts and what's assigned to you. You also have to stimulate discussion within the classroom. So you have to ask one question of the class based on what you give. And then you have to go back once you've posted your discussion answers. You have to go back in and read at least two peer threads, two peer comments, and then you're going to comment on them and what they say. So if you go back and you find, you look at somebody else's discussion post and you answer their question, and you have to do that twice, okay, in order to earn full marks on your discussion posts. A lot of students think that they can post their discussion answers and then they forget to go back and read and reply to two peer comments or two peer questions, and they lose 30% of their grade for that discussion post, because part of being a part of a discussion is being a part of the classroom and actually, again, replying and reading and commenting on peer posts. If you were doing any e-learning program in university or college, the same would be expected of you. Okay, so that's how you earn your marks, and that's what I'm expecting from you from this discussion post as well. So again, do not leave it until Sunday night, because you won't necessarily have time to go in and read and reply to other people's comments. Okay, so for this discussion post, it's pretty simple. You start a new thread and you write your name. You explain to the class what some of your passions and hobbies and interests are. What do you think is the biggest obstacle to success in an e-learning course? And what do you what do you plan to do to achieve success in this space? And then I ask that you be intentional with your goals for this semester. What are you going to do differently this year? A lot of my senior students, because you were in COVID over the last few years, and like last semester was your first semester really being back in a natural school setting, they learned a lot of hard lessons. And so what were some of those hard lessons for you? What are you going to do from what you learned last semester? And what are you going to do to be set your intention and be much more successful this semester? Okay, then you're going to post that. And again, you're going to ask a question of your classmates along the same vein of getting to know you. And then make sure you go back and reply to at least two peer questions. Okay, so that's assigned to you this week. And then on Thursday, you're going to watch your very first TED Talk. Okay, we do watch a lot of TED Talks in this course because there's so many great ones when it comes to leadership. I really strongly recommend, and I mentioned this in the instructional video yesterday, that you create a Google document this week and you label it Unit 1, Business Leadership and Course Notes. And as you go through the weekly agendas and you watch videos and you read articles and you go through slide decks, you take notes on all of that stuff. Because in an e-learning classroom, when you have a unit test, I'm not going to ask you for the definition of, managerial competency. Why? Because you can Google the answer. So how is that beneficial to you? Instead, I'm going to ask you to draw connections to some of the TED Talks as an example that you've watched and as it pertains to a specific managerial competency. So in your answer, you might say, following the TED Talk on the leadership lollipop moments, Drew Dudley's leadership lollipop moments, from this example, XXX, right? So I'm going to be asking for you to connect to the content of the course. This is going to be a busy semester for you. How are you going to remember that if you don't write it down? You're not. So I strongly recommend you create a house for Unit 1. And when it comes time to projects and your tests, you can go right to that document and go, oh yeah, I forgot we watched that video. That would be perfect for this. This will show her that I actually am doing the work. Okay. So it's a short video. You can take a few notes on it. Bob's your uncle. You'll be using that again in the future. Participation activity for Thursday. And then finally on Friday, your last participation activity. I just kind of gave you a buffer day there just to get, just again, we're orienting ourselves to the course this week. But really, this is a super, super easy week for a grade 12 course, especially when it compares to what you might be doing in a regular classroom setting. Again, what's been assigned to you are the 5 individual participation activities. Each day, you have to do them on the day in which they are assigned. You have to listen to the 2 instructional videos, which you're doing right now, and you have to complete the discussion post. That is due by Monday at 8 a.m. no later, and watch the TED Talk video and start a Google document for your course notes. All right. And that's it. That's how she rolls. And this is how the class is overall. So again, between this instructional video and yesterday's, you should have a really good idea of A, who I am as an academic teacher, B, what you need to do to be successful in an e-learning course, but also this specific e-learning course, because every teacher is different and they have different expectations. C, you need to have a good understanding of how timelines and deadlines work in this course. If you don't meet your first deadline with the discussion post next week, we're going to be having a conversation right away. Because again, I have done this so many times. I know that students that don't get started strong in a course like this, they will struggle, okay? Students that do the things I say to do, the students that really listen, like you're still listening to this instructional video right now, you are staying on top of your work, you're meeting the deadlines, perform exceptionally well in this course. Okay. So it's really important that you prioritize that moving forward. Hopefully this makes sense. I want to say this as well. As much as I said this in the instructional video yesterday, you should be allocating 75 minutes per day for this class. So about 6 hours of time for this class every week. Okay. Some students will actually take their spare period and work on the daily assignments each day. Some students will do 3 hours of work on this class on a Monday and Tuesday just to get it done for the week ahead. It's completely up to you how you do this. But what I don't recommend is that you go, oh, I'm not even going to look at e-learning until Friday or Saturday. And then you leave it all to the weekend. And then, oh, you got invited to a party, or, oh, shoot, you have something due on Monday for another class. And you really need to prioritize that because you see your teacher on Monday and, oh, well, maybe my e-learning, I'll just do that next week and maybe she won't care. No, I will care. I will care just as much as your in-class teachers do. Okay. So again, if you haven't heard it enough, and hopefully I've said it a million times by now in the first 2 instructional videos, stay on top of your deadlines, allocate 6 hours per week for this course, divide it the way that works best for you, but do not think that you can leave it to the final hour on the weekend before it's due and think that it will be okay, because it won't. Okay. I hope your week is off to a great start. If you have any questions or concerns, please email me. I'm happy to do a Google Meet with you anytime. As I said, during the week, my turnaround time for my e-learning students for emails is 24 hours. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you online.